All right. Thanks, Matt, and welcome back. Those of you that stuck around, we are here. We're in the top 8. We have Michael Cardoza, Stephen Dykman, who I don't believe we saw on camera. Well, I know we did this afternoon. Maybe this morning they were on briefly in the early rounds. But Will Kruger is back with me again for our last round of the day. If you're interested in top 4 and finals, it is tomorrow morning. And we are underway here, though. And I can tell you, Michael Cardoza was undefeated today with 2 unintentional draws.
Whoa, that is interesting.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
is.
good enough for seed number 4, which is good enough for being on the plate here for
Yeah.
top 8. So that's a good place to be, no matter what.
Yeah, Michael had actually drew in round 1.
Wow.
And then drew in round 5 against the Bant Prison deck that we saw earlier.
Breach is pretty good at beating up on these on various like control decks and whatnot. So I'm unsurprised to see the draw bracket maybe working in his favor there. I mean, obviously, when you're given the option of win or draw, you would take win. It's 2 more points, but if you could play against more blue-white control and stuff with your Urza Saga, Underworld Breach, all of these high-value cards, then maybe that can work in your favor.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're still presenting decks and shuffling up, and let's talk about what we didn't have in top 8. So, chat mentioning, well, there's no hammer decks.
Yeah, no hammer decks. And then we had 2 creativity, 3 rhinos, 2 Murktide, and then a single breach. And so we didn't see any living end. We didn't see any hammer. We didn't see any Omnath in top 8. I don't believe either. So
right. And out of those, maybe to me the most surprising, Living End I feel like it's been fairly well represented in modern Nerd Rage events over the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
And none breaking through today.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got Michael on 1 mulligan here, and has a Flooded Strand for presumably Steam Vents and a turn 1 Ragavan. Really good way to start off. I mean, as we're all familiar with, a turn 1 Ragavan is really powerful and can carry a game on its own. So
yeah, and Rhinos. I mean, there's answers. There are even 1-man answers. There's Dead Gone, but it's not like it's Bolt or a blocker or a different kind of blocker. It's basically Dead Gone or take a hit.
Well, you could Fury it, but that would require a rather large investment, but it might be the play that Dykman goes to go for.
You're right. That might be worthwhile here. Yeah, Scam, another deck the chat mentions, is not in the top 8.
True.
Okay, let's see how Steven. I mean, there's no Dead Gone is the only good way to deal with this. Suspend, is that a crash?
That is in fact a Crashing Footfalls. It's been suspended. Okay. So no Dead Gone, no Furious. This Ragavan is going to connect.
Asking about the deck list. Deck list should go live during this round. I will send a message over to production, and they will get on that. And I bet you can have them within a few minutes if they're not there already.
Yes, the turn 1 Footfalls is definitely not where you want to be. But sometimes you draw it and you might as well suspend it. And I mean, Dykman's already down to 15 life because he did choose to go for Fetch Shock there. And a Violent Outburst. I mean, we could cast that. It would cost our treasure. I'm assuming that Michael has a second land. That is not necessarily true. But assuming that we have second land, we could cast a Violent Outburst. What we would hit is not super clear.
Right. I mean, well, I guess there's a few things that are actively bad. Like you don't want to breach at this point. You don't want another Ragavan.
No, breach, Ragavan, any removal spells, all of those. So I would probably be inclined to just leave that one in exile and develop it some other way if I had the option. If my hand is all lands, I'd probably cast it. But
all right, I've passed the message along, so deck list should be turned to visible any moment now.
Very nice opening. I mean, that was turn 1, must answer threat, was not answered. Turn 2, Ledger Shredder, not necessarily must answer threat, but it's going to provide a lot of value. And off of an Urza Saga, which is a huge deal. Now, if Dykman does have a Fury, he will be rewarded for his patience, because that is now, he's been presented with another target. So he could trade evenly on cards at the, he sacrificed a little bit of life and gave Michael a treasure to be able to have that opportunity if he does have a Fury in his hand. And if he does,
it's pretty juicy.
It would be a really strong play here, and I'd have to imagine, last turn if you have a Fury, it's kind of a judgment call if you play it or not. Here, everybody's playing the Fury if they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this would be a no-brainer here. I think you'd have. I mean, if you're not doing it, you're not letting these creatures hit you again.
No,
if you can avoid it.
The Ledger Shredder might just grow out of range. So if you have a Fury, it's just getting fired off here every time.
Right. And Dykman knows what he's doing. He's been around for quite a while. He's played the Rage Series. He's played Grand Prix in older times and Star Cities. He's well experienced.
Yeah,
And
very experienced, very strong player. I've played Dykman a few times. He's a very, very strong player. Very deliberate, makes sure he thinks through everything, and is just fully aware of the game state before he does anything. So you can see that's why he's had the success he has, and now he's in the top 8 for a reason here.
Mhm.
So we're going to go ahead and get a basic island here, valuing our life total. Perhaps we have a source of red mana in our hand, I would imagine.
So could we be? Well, it's all right. It's Dykman's own turn, so we're not. This isn't an ice on the Ragavan, which, barring Fury or Dead Gun, ice on Ragavan would be a play that would be okay. This was Boseiju on Saga.
Boseiju on Urza's Saga. Okay.
Wow. All right. So this is. I mean, this is solving one problem, but
I mean, these creatures are they're just a big threat, and
I guess if you had Fury also, this would be a really good turn. But
that would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I just from body language, I don't think
that's
super likely, but we'll see.
And if you did have it, you would Fury first because you wouldn't want to let your opponent potentially have an untapped land. So
right, yeah. So
this is going to be a connection here for Ragavan again. Which, okay, Ragavan hitting Rhinos is not the worst thing. It'd be much better, in the mirror, things like that, because there are blanks to hit, but on top of the lands, so it ends up getting tagged there. So Michael Cardoza will have some surplus mana, but no extra spells to cast here.
Yeah, and it looks like Dykman actually did have the 4 copies of Fury in his main deck, so unfortunate to not have. Oh, and it seems that he's managed to find one.
And now he finds it after, boy.
Wow. Damage was done, but it's not like it's over.
Right.
I mean, it's far from over. This is a great turn for Dykman. He's able to develop 10 power, and he's able to manage the Ledger Shredder didn't grow at all. And
right.
So,
this is so huge. If this was without the Fury here, even just the Shardless into
that would be
crashing would have grown the Ledger Shredder, and this is just and if you're Michael, you just have to sigh. You're like, well, I had such a good start, and now it's kind of undone.
Yeah, it looks like deck lists have been posted, so if anybody's interested in those, then those should be available on presumably MTG Melee.
Yeah, you can now look at every one of the lists in the tournament if you would like.
Yeah, that's one of the perks of MTG Melee is that you get to see every deck list that every person registered, how they did, what they played against, who they played against, and you can really delve into what's going on at these big paper tournaments like the Nerd Rage events and the Stark events, stuff like that. And yeah, that was a great turn for Dykman. I mean, he basically plague-winded Michael and managed to develop 10 power, 8 of which has trample, and he still has, I think, at least 1 card left over, maybe even 2 in his hand. And Michael, rather weak turn from him last turn, not really developing a whole lot, and so the biggest thing that you're scared of here if you're Dykman is the potential of a combo kill. The best way you can play back inside is Fortune Negation. I don't know if he has one of those in his hand, but if he does, then that would be a great way to protect himself.
Yeah. And so, in addition to deck lists being available at home now online, the players are also giving each other's deck lists.
Yes.
That we've reached top 8. And so,
and Jegantha has hit the board.
Okay. That's not generally something that I feel like often leads to, even though it's a free card, I don't feel like it leads to winning all that often.
Yeah.
But here, this is probably a matchup where it matters more than most.
Yeah, normally the games where Jegantha is winning you a game is when your opponent when you both have bad draws. But here Dykman's draw is really good, and paying 8 mana for a 5/5 over the 2 turns is not going to get it done. And if we re-slam it, then we block. I think we're at 4. We're just dead on board. So it's sort of combo or bust here for Michael Cardoza.
All right,
and he doesn't have it, so he's going to go for Dash Ragavan, hit a Murktide Regent, but that alone is not enough to keep him alive.
Yeah, I mean there are 2 treasures now, so Murktide plus something else. Yeah, there's 4 mana to work with here. How big would the Murktide be right now? It would be pretty small.
I think
actually.
It would be a 3/3.
Yeah, it would.
That's game number 1 moving to Stephen.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if Michael even had something else. Well, I guess if he had something like a bolt, then he could grow the Murktide to be 1 bigger trade with the Rhino. But that's not to be. And fairly. Despite doing nothing for the first couple turns, Dykman picks up game one here with the Fury, the removal, and then the deck does its thing. Shardless and some 4/4s.
Really nice game. It really showed off the power of the free evoke spells, along with a big tempo play like Shardless Agent for 2 Rhinos. To go with, it's really just showed off what the Rhinos can do.
Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and bring up some deck lists, some sideboards. You can see what the players are working with here. Michael Cardoza, again, no losses on the day, but 2 unintentional draws. Playing Jeskai Breach with also some source of green mana somewhere or other. There is a breeding pool for the Haywire Mite in the main deck for the Urza Saga target, which I think is pretty probably stock inclusion at this point, but I do think it's pretty cool the way that fits together, and really just the whole way this deck fits together. Will, do you have any thoughts on Grapeshot versus Oracle as a win condition?
Yeah, I don't play a ton of Breach, but I know that when you play Grapeshot, one, you get Jegantha, which is a pretty big upgrade. As we saw that game, I mean, if it wasn't that great, but
it could have been.
It could have been. You know what I mean? And then Grapeshot as a card is better to draw naturally than Thassa's Oracle. The cost is that sometimes you end up in weird board states where you're comboing and you're not actually able to kill them. Thassa's Oracle is always going to kill them, no matter how much life they've gained, no matter how many cards. You know what I mean? No matter what. Grapeshot, sometimes it's not going to be able to get it done. But Michael chose to go with Grapeshot today over Thassa's Oracle, and being rewarded, and it's.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Stephen Dykman's Teamer Rhinos list. We've seen a variety of these today. We have not seen his. We've seen Oliver Tomiko, who is also in the top 8 with 3 Mystical Disputes main deck. Dykman's all his copies are in the sideboard. We do have I don't know, anything stand out here? Like last time we went through this exercise, there was the trio of Mystical Disputes. Anything stand out here as being unusual?
Nothing here looks too crazy to me. I mean, the biggest thing that deviates from the norm is like the one main deck Murktide Regent and the 2 copies of there's 2 copies of Fiery Islet. I think that might be a little abnormal. I think it might normally be like 1, but these are really just not big deviations from the norm. They're just like small preference changes.
Yeah, so the one Murktide Regent, and I feel like we go back a few months and we were seeing 1 Behemoths.
Yeah, and we sort of realized that there is a much better Delve card that you're allowed to play. It is Murktide Regent. You can sort of see that because that card has been dominating Modern and Legacy since it's been printed, and so very fine option to go with a flex slot here, and especially in a deck with no Delve cards. So.
Right. Yeah. So it's basically, I mean, the first Delve card is certainly free. No one's boarding in Graveyard Hate against you, so it's just always going to be. And you can't run into yourself.
We did see our Ponza player board in on License Search against.
That's true. You're right. We did see that.
So
I stand corrected.
I was pretty surprised, but
if that Ponza player was hunting the potential one of Murktide or Become Immense, well, that's
no Murktide Regents on their watch.
Yeah, exactly.
We have the classic 4-4-4-3 sideboard that we're used to from all these Rhinos decks. Your options are kind of limited because you're not allowed to play 2 mana cards in your deck, otherwise your cascade spells don't work. And so these are just the good ones.
Okay, so we have a couple different options here to deal with Urza Saga. We have Blood Moon, which blows it up. We have Force of Vigor, which can take it out alongside something else if that potential is available. Do you like either one of these?
I do like Force of Vigor. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of Blood Moon, especially because you do have to kind of do a little. It's not like you're just a straight 2-color deck with a lot of basics, where it's really easy to play Blood Moon. It does have some potential to mess you up as well. So I think I would probably steer clear of that. But for Force of Vigor, I think that's a pretty clear include against a deck that it shuts off. It makes it so they can't combo you, and it makes it so you can deal with Urza Saga with ease. It's a clear slam dunk in my mind.
Okay.
Endurance could also be good as it shuts down the combo, sort of by you just accelerator. But they they can play through that though.
Right. Yeah.
That one they can play through.
Yeah. I mean, that worries me about Endurance is that it's. I mean, it has to have value other than breaking up the combo because it's not guaranteed to break up the combo.
Yeah.
But it can get value.
They do have Emry and other things. So there's some graveyard stuff going on, like a value breach. You could just go Endurance in response, and then it's pretty good. But
okay, well, Michael,
mulligan from Michael.
Yeah, Michael taking mulligan, and Steven, I thought he was reaching for the deck there, but maybe he's still thinking, giving us some thought. And he's also going to 6. All right, so both players going to 6 here. Or maybe Dykman, had a turn 2 kill there, but he's like, I don't want to have an unreasonable advantage over my opponent. I'm a good guy. I'm just going to mulligan anyway.
Yeah, somebody tells me that that's not the case, but
well,
who knows?
That's just because you're clearly not that type of nice guy.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't even enter your mind that someone else could be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You just can't anticipate the plays. You can't foresee the thought process.
It's true. Yeah.
A champion individual like Steven Dykman. All right, we see the Jegantha there once again for Michael at the bottom of the screen. And yeah, all right. So all 4 quarterfinal matches going on right now. We will get you. The plan is, yes, to show you Greg Pino versus Oliver Tomico after this match is concluded. And then if you're hunting for the top 4 in the finals, it'll be tomorrow morning. I believe it starts at 9 Central Time for the top 4. If you're watching this in the future on replay and you're seeing this match is close to over and the video is about to end, if you click on wherever you're seeing this, whether it's on YouTube or on Twitch, the next video is probably listed as Pioneer 5K, but the first hour or 2 of it will be the top 4 in the finals of this modern event. So that all being said, looking at I hate how you can't say looking at 6s now because it's still 7s.
Yeah,
even though it is 6, and it's just
are your 6-card hand. They turn into 6-card hands. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels better to say looking at 6s, but it's I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll put that on the list of
our mulligans.
87 things that I do badly as a commentator, like pointing out things that slightly irritate me. All right, Michael Cardoza, can he continue the streak of being undefeated on the day? And looks like he's going to 5.
Take a second. Looks like both players are going to go down to 5 cards.
Okay. All right. Will Kruger, have you ever, in a scenario like this, not necessarily in top 8, but in any time in the Swiss, where both players have mulled to, let's say 6, well, we'll say 5, and then someone says, hey, do you want to draw this game and then just redraw 7? Have you ever had this happen?
I have not done that, and I would immediately no, sir.
Okay.
If somebody said that to me, because I would imagine that they know something that I don't, and they think that it advantages them, and I say, nope, we are going to continue this game how it is.
I have done that a couple times, although both of them, however many they were all a very long time ago. And the one that stands out in my mind was we both mulled to 6, and I'm sure there was some advantage to be gained here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been offering. Where I said, do you want to both mull back to 7? And every time the other person says, oh, you can't do that. And actually, you can. And then
you can draw the game.
Right. And the player says, no, I don't want to do that. Okay. And then we end up both mulling again. And they're like, okay, now let's do it. Because they're afraid of being on 5. Now, this was back when we had the more punishing mulligan rules where you didn't get to look at 7. But yeah, I don't really hear that anymore. And actually, I haven't even thought about it in years. I don't know why I just thought of it right now. I guess because both players are going to 5. But all right, looking at 7 now. Who with the smaller hand sizes that are still matched, does anyone gain an advantage? I would lean towards Dykman because his deck just needs 3 land and a Cascader to really put out the brunt of its offense.
I'm inclined to agree. I mean, you really don't need that much with the Rhinos deck, but the Breach deck needs to set up a little bit more. But then again, Underworld Breach itself is worth quite a lot of cards. So
right,
I would say advantage Dykman. Like if one player could choose to have both players mulligan to 5, Dykman probably would. But
yeah, and that's exactly what I mean. And the question is like, if one player could choose that. Because I've played a lot of Tron, and I would always prefer players be on 5.
You want to both go to 3? Like,
yeah, deal.
Mine's
Sign me up for that.
Plant. Like,
yeah. Okay, so we are game underway now.
Let's go ahead and get a Sacred Foundry here. So normally the first fetch here is Steam Fence. So if I'm Dykman, I'm thinking about what white cards Michael has that he wants to play.
Well, we can take a gander at the sideboard and see that the white cards consist of Teferi Time Raveler, Drannith Magistrate. I don't think we're going to see that one. Prismatic Ending.
Why would we not see Drannith Magistrate?
That prevents you from playing spells from. Never mind. You're right.
Be like the main, the big one.
Yeah.
That would be great. So let's see if
because that's not
we
symmetrical, right? It's just
no,
opponents.
it is opponents. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that would be if it's symmetrical, it would likely not be in Michael's
Yeah, it
deck.
wouldn't work. Yeah.
But I believe that I would guess that's actually very likely to come down here. But we'll see. Maybe it's just a Ledger Shredder or some such. Paired with a Bauble, Ledger Shredder could be really nice.
I mean, I guess if no, I was going to say if Michael had the basic island in hand, but he didn't. He fetched that also.
Yeah,
so,
he just went ahead and grabbed that with the Scalding Tarn. Really
so
nice
that would
special here. We got an Onslaught, Flooded Strand, and a old border. Okay, so just a Ledger Shredder. Looks like Joseph Bernal was defeated on the other side of the bracket by CJ Vogue. That was Joseph Bernal on 5-color creativity, CJ on Teamer Rhinos. So Teamer Rhinos advances to the top 4, and 5-color creativity falls out of contention.
All right. Well, for creativity fans, though, there is still another creativity deck. Question in the chat: are we showing the other 3 quarterfinal matches tonight? We are showing 2. We're showing this one and one more. We're not going to show all 4. Okay, so it's Shredder followed by Explosives to Connive. All right. And there's a Breach that's discarded, and that's,
Explosives is going to go ahead and represent killing Steven's first copy of Crashing Footfalls very cleanly. And we don't fetch, so that might indicate that we want to draw a land. We have 0 or 1 more lands in our hand, and there is a Scalding Tarn, so whether it was drawn this turn or we had it, not sure. But
all right, so Steven, so what are the options here that he can be contemplating? I mean, assuming he has anything to do at all, he could have an ice for a land. He could have, let's see. Well, I mean, I guess there could be Brazen Borrower to bounce Ledger Shredder, but that doesn't seem super exciting.
Yeah, that would not be the best play, but gotta do what you gotta do, and these first two turns before we can really get the cascade cards going is not great for Rhinos. Notably, Cascade does sort of force you to play 2 spells in the same turn because of how it works. That would give a Connive off of Ledger Shredder, which would actually move it up to a 3/5 if Michael's so inclined as to discard a spell, which would block a Rhino quite well.
Yeah, and that would be rough because those first set of Rhinos, like you're saying, are getting blown by Explosives already. So if Steven has to grow the opposing Shredder just in order to trade with the Explosives,
that is not ideal at all.
I mean, if that's what you have to do, okay, do it, but it's certainly not appealing.
Continue not fetching, and I think I might have caught a glimpse of a basic island in Steven's hand. I'm not no land at all, so we're just gonna go ahead and pass the turn. Neither player with land 3, and we're just gonna sort of play this draw-go game. I'm gonna attack you with Ledger Shredder, pass the turn. I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna pass the turn.
Well, okay, so we speculated that on 5-card hands that the advantage might be for Steven, but on 2 land boards, the advantage is massively in favor of Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Mishra's Bauble might be a good way to connive if we have another spell to follow it up. Although I imagine if we had another spell to follow it up, it would have been played last turn. And now we're going to see if Steven's drawing another land. Steven doesn't know. I don't know. You don't know. The only one who knows right now is Michael Cardoza.
Yeah, I mean, he could have tilted it upwards for us to see, but no.
It'll remain a mystery. We'll find out together.
We might, or maybe it just goes into Dykman's hand and he plays a land and he's like, I was holding it. You guys don't know.
And maybe Dykman will fetch, deny the information. You got to win the information game.
Are we? So Michael,
I think we're still on Michael's first main phase here.
I think so too.
Now that he's seen Steven's top card, he's figuring out how to best proceed. And it looks kind of unclear. And we know he doesn't have a third land because he certainly drew the Mishra's Bauble. And it looks like he's going to go for Expressive Iteration. No, he's going to go for Underworld Breach.
Okay. So this is supposed to re-bobble.
That's going to
and pick up another card.
I think that we're basically just cycling. And so what this screams to me is that it's likely that Michael has another copy of Underworld Breach. Would be my best guess. Or
maybe that would be. There's already one in the graveyard. So yeah, this is. So maybe you're right about that. But here is the connive. Just desperately looking for land here. So this you're right. This breach is basically cycling for Bauble, and
it's a very very low value card. Very low value use of a high value card.
Right.
Maybe he's decided that we're unlikely to get much value out of it. It looks like Steven is pondering potentially countering this with maybe Fortune Negation. Maybe he's going to use Endurance to shuffle the graveyard in. It's kind of unclear.
Also, so what information could Michael have seen there that would lead him to, like, if there's not a land on top of Dykman's deck, would that lead Steven to just try and jumpstart his mana? Yeah, I mean, it could. I don't even know exactly what conclusions you would draw from different reveals, but that is interesting.
Maybe what happened is that there's an endurance on top of his deck, and he says, you know what?
Okay.
I want to play this Underworld Breach before you have access to the ability to, for 0 mana, shuffle my graveyard into my library, or shuffle it to the bottom of my library, whatever. And I want to get my value out of it. And that would make some sense to me. And we're going to see an endurance pitch cast here just to deny the single Mishra's Bauble. That's fascinating. So
yeah,
even with a fetch land, we would need a 1 mana spell to get 2 cards out of it. So this is a really interesting play to me. I'm pretty surprised, but I'm sure Dykman contemplated his options. And
sure. I mean, if Dykman's close to discarding hand size, maybe, but yeah, this is a real cost.
He was on 5 cards to start the game.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think that we've gotten up
yeah,
there
I don't think
yet.
so either. Because this is he's just 2 for 1 himself here too. And really, I mean, yeah, Michael, unless Michael's sandbagging a land and something else, this was just going to be a cantrip, right?
Yeah, I think it was basically just going to draw a card. And because we put the Bauble, we know that Michael doesn't have his third land in hand because he played the Bauble this turn. He would have put the Bauble
Right.
last turn, or he would have played a land. And so it's unlikely that he's going to play a fetch land, and it's unlikely that he's going to play another 0-mana artifact. So I think that Underworld Breach was really not that threatening. And you see, Dykman just passes with one of each teamer fetch land in play. No other mana-producing lands, just a Foothills, a Misty, and a Scalding Tarn. But this is that is a huge find for him, being able to get his third mana in play and threaten any of the powerful 3-mana spells, whether it's Violent Outburst or Endurance Hardcast or whatever. There's Strand of Magistrate, which we speculated on earlier.
Okay, well, that might force a response here from Steven if he's got one. I mean, he's not going to let that go with a Violent Outburst in hand potentially, even if it's going to cost him a lot of life, because those lands are going to cost life whenever he uses them, and he has to use them eventually.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to win this game if we never use our lands.
So Michael saw obviously that third fetch land on top of Steven's deck. So yeah, back to your idea of maybe seeing Endurance led him to fire off the Underworld Breach, or maybe just anticipating Endurance and seeing the third land, and I don't want a hard cast to break up my my cantrip, so maybe I'll just fire it off now and is rewarded by Steven. Well, arguably rewarded by Steven pitch casting Endurance there. Anyway, Steven's still trying to decide what to do with this Strand of Magistrate.
Yeah, he's going through all the permutations here. He looks like he's running some kind of numbers. I don't know what they are, but he is maybe he's just thinking about what it looks like, what a potential race looks like. Now, was this a post-combat Strand of Magistrate, or did it resolve and now we're attacking with Letter Shredder?
I think. Well, if it, I think this Magistrate on the stack, but I'm not. I already forgot. I'm not sure, but the chat. Okay, chat's saying it resolved already, and now so it is a post Magistrate attack. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're not going to see any cascading here.
So what? Let's see. This could be another Endurance, I guess, to block.
Yeah, 3/4 on 3/5 would sort of prevent some of that damage.
Yeah, and like that would be. There shouldn't be any sort of cantrip in response. I wouldn't think, as that would have been cast to find lands earlier.
Yeah, and Breach doesn't play anything like Consider or anything like that. So not this version at least.
Right. So there's no worry about that.
Definitely, I imagine you're right, and there is another copy of Endurance that is about to be used here to probably just block and go 3/5 on 3/4 on 3/5, and we're gonna go for Gone, and we're gonna go for Bounce your Ledger Shredder. And so that's interesting because we're gonna go for Spell Pierce to fight back, and we get a Connive. It's a big deal because now it's gonna, with Dykman at 8 life, we can get this Ledger Shredder up to 4 power, and that's 2 turns. Huge deal to have the Spell Pierce back up here.
All right, another Bauble gets pitched. Yeah, and you're right. So Dykman life total falls after those 3 fetch lands, and then 4 damage coming across. And he's still, I mean, well now, boy, all of his main plans are locked out 2 ways by Magistrate and Explosives, but the Shredder is the problem. And
that's what's actually dealing the damage. It's very difficult for us to assemble any Rhinos this game through the Explosives and the Train of Magistrate.
And even if we could, we'd still be dead.
The Shredder is what's closing the door for sure. And we're going to go for Gone to bounce the Ledger Shredder and just sort of tread water. We're really not making much progress here. That is not what you want to see. I mean, I don't really know what card Dykman could have played to get out of it at this spot, but it was not that.
Yeah, all right. So fetch land's getting rougher and rougher to use. Here's a Teferi, another lock on Rhinos, and yeah, Dykman's like, okay, we can go to game 3. Oh, I'm sorry. Both players shifted and things got picked up, and I assumed the game was over with. It was a force. I'm sorry, that's what happened. We got forced, and
correct.
Yeah, I don't know how I misinterpreted that, but how do you feel about throwing down that Teferi instead of the Shredder? When the Shredder's a clock and the Teferi is when the Rhinos are basically locked up already.
Yeah, it's an interesting call because the Teferi would lock out the Rhinos. Like you said, we have a Drain Magistrate and an Engineer Explosive, so that's not really happening anytime soon. And I don't really know if there's a huge punish for the Shredder. I mean, so I think I might have been inclined to have gone for the Shredder over the Teferi on that one turn, but now that we're here, we only have 1 blue mana, so given the option between Emry and Shredder, we've gone for Emry. And Emry notably with 2 toughness, Strand with 5, so we're not exposing ourselves to Fury on 2 creatures. So definitely. All
right, another Dead Gone takes down Emry. And did Michael just knock cards off the top of his deck?
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. They're resolving the judge call right now. Yeah.
All right, so once we get that sorted, so this Magistrate is going to come across here for a free point of damage, and Dykman, that means not that 4 mana is really a flashpoint for his deck, but that means his Shocklands cannot come in untapped anymore, further decreasing options.
Yeah, it's really just
I guess Otawara Bounce would require a 4th mana, but there's no way that's in his hand either.
No, that's not possible. So yeah, this is going to be a difficult one for Dykman to get back into, but.
All right. Well, are they explaining to a judge what just happened?
I think they've got it sorted out. I think that we're now in Dykman's first main phase.
That's what I thought too. But how did we get to Dykman's turn without the Draft Magistrate attacking? Was my question.
I think we might have been playing around Hardcast Endurance.
Oh, okay, that's totally fair. That makes sense.
Yeah, that would be one of the few ways you could actually lose this game, is if you're to attack and get blown out by an Endurance. But really nice basic lands on Michael's side. Dykman's are okay, but white border. So.
All right, so just the construct plan then. Well, we'll see what. Is that Shredder still in hand? Yeah, there it is.
Yep, there it is. It's coming down, and presumably we're going to be able to just make a construct this turn with the remainder of our mana.
Yeah, and Michael may be empty-handed now, but there are plenty of defensive cards on the board. If there is an Endurance in Dykman's hand, probably a decent chance we just see it hardcast now, right?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't use his mana. Well, we're now on Dykman's end step, but I imagine that it would have been, if it was in the hand, it would have been used earlier.
Yeah.
Michael has shown that he's willing to play around it, so you may as well use it. Yeah, we're just going to make another construct here. These things are going to be 4/4s after we've resolved our search ability, and they'll be able to attack into Endurance easily. They're also lethal threats. A Force of Vigor here would be like a problem in the sense that it would do something, but I mean, Michael's so far ahead that it's going to be really for.
All right, there's a Springleaf Drum added to the board from the Urza Saga, so additional mana available, and another artifact, like you're saying, to make the attacking construct a 4/4.
tapping the Summoning Sickness Construct for a mana, and we're going to go for a Teferi Time Raveler.
Oh, well, that will certainly
I would
put a
imagine
finisher on
that
things, unless it's Force of Negation pitch, right? That's the only way that Dykman would have enough resources left to survive the turn, I would think.
Yeah, I think that we are just done.
Yeah,
we're done here. So very just many ways to stop Rhinos after sideboard powerful sideboard options like Teferi Time Raveler, Granite Magistrate, Engineering Explosives, all coming in to be a huge deal. Very rewarded for respecting the Rhinos deck in deck building. So
yeah,
we're going to see them move on to game 3 here.
Yeah, and Dykman can still, have a lot of confidence, even though he got pretty much trounced by a couple cyber cards there. The Magistrate is a one of. The Explosives, there are 2 copies, and both players are on 5. So this is really not, I don't think any real conclusions would be drawn from that game. And Dykman can just kind of proceed like he normally would. How often would you say in the middle of a match, in a format you've played a lot, like, okay, let's just say you playing Hammer in Modern right now or Lotus in Pioneer currently, how often would you say you learned something in the middle of a match that would affect how you board in the last game? That's pretty rare, right?
It sort of depends. Like if my opponent shows me a certain card, like I might change my sideboard if I know that my creativity opponent plays persists is the big one.
Yeah, sure.
Then maybe I'm more inclined to have relics and Sanctifier on Vex and stuff like that. But it sort of depends. Like, I mean, how well prepared are you for the tournament? If you're going in blind, then you're absolutely going to be doing it a lot. If you haven't done a lot of practice, but if you've done a lot of practice, then that's going to be happening less so. I mean, it should still happen because if you learn something, you should be able to adapt on the fly. That's one of the signs of a strong Magic player is adaptability and ability, willingness to sort of think on your feet and being able to just adapt and change. But if you've prepared a lot, then it is obviously going to happen less than if you have done no preparation at all. Because if you've done no preparation at all, then you're going to learn things playing the game as you go.
You learn every round. All right, so players are shuffling up for our last game of this match. Michael Cardoza will be on the draw. Dykman. I mean, all of Michael's defensive cards. Well, I guess I'm being able to get underneath Teferi is pretty significant. Like I say, Explosives gets down first, Magistrate gets down first, but Teferi doesn't. So that's a big plus for Steven as far as going first here.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
But this is tense. I mean, I'm sure the players are feeling it a little bit at this point. I mean, there's no level of experience that makes you not care about the outcome of your matches, I don't believe. And playing for a lot on the line. More so, can we say that? I guess we can say that these events are more important than last year because of the auto invite. There's
I mean, if you win the tournament, you go straight to the championship.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit on the line. I mean, if you win this event, you get to play a 16-player PTQ with $25,000 in prizes. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to play the last one, and the sort of the air in the room. It was just it was a very unique tournament. It was really cool experience, and it's really awesome to be able to play a tournament like that. So there's a lot on the line because only one of our 8 players is going to be able to be. I mean, well, only one of our players is going to qualify in this tournament. One of the 8 could come back and they've got all of them have points. They're all up to a strong start on the leaderboard. At the end of the year, the top 6 competitors, I believe, will be in for the championship.
Yeah, and then we have the team showdown, I think, later in the year that'll qualify 3 players. That'll be a big one. I'm sure that will be a popular event.
Yeah, that will be me, Joseph Bernal, and Matthew Hoey will be winning that event.
Oh, you got your team all set up already, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see how things shake out here. Looking at Dykman drawing his hand, I think there were 2 land in it, but I'm not confident of that read. So we'll see how we do here. Are the players going to keep more cards than they did last game? I would hope so. And yeah, we're underway. Okay, both players on 7 cards. So we should see some more explosive stuff than last game.
Yeah, just a turn 1 Wooded Foothills, no suspending Crashing Footfalls, but even if you had it in your hand, you might want to hold it in case you draw Force of Vigor here if you're Dykman.
Sure.
Yeah, both players kept 7, so we're definitely going to see a stronger game. We're not going to see as many missed land drops. We're not going to see as much struggling to function, really. We're going to see both players probably curving out and using all their mana, interacting with each other, all that stuff.
Yeah, the foundations of modern Magic should be well on display this game around. And Cardoza giving some thought to what his first play will be. So that would lead us to think there are some options here.
Yeah.
Ragavan's obviously number one in almost any scenario, right?
Yeah, this is that is okay. Well, we're not going to go with that for this.
Clearly,
yeah, given that we were on the draw, Ragavan loses a good amount of potency because Dykman's answers such as potential Bunkers Giants and Fire Ice are going to be able to target it when if we're on the play they perhaps wouldn't. Like we saw game one, Ragavan was able to hit twice. We're going to see fetch play. Oh, I imagine we're going to see a turn one Emry here. That is a really strong play, and that energy on 0, it's going to be pretty potent. So,
yeah, I mean, you basically Cardoza's Lotus Petal is actually also the trump card to Dykman's deck. That's a pretty nice setup.
Yeah, and the other one is going to cantrip, and this Emry needs to die. It has to die right now. Otherwise, Michael is starting to draw an extra card every turn with the Mishra's Bauble. He's starting to recur engineer explosives in the late game. He's starting to put the Shadow Spear into play if he wants it. And so we're going to catch a Triumph. So no dead gone, but those 2 mana answers, Fire Ice, Bunkers Giant, those can still happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we talked about there being more to do, more impressive stuff on these 7-card hands, and this is about as big. I mean, this wasn't a Ragavan opening, but this is pretty stellar. Maybe even better if you count the explosives being the hate card.
This is a great opening. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. This is how you want to start if you're Michael Cardoza.
Yeah. So for Steven Dykman here, facing this down, I mean, this is nothing's unbeatable, but
no, I mean, the game is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Right. But I mean, we're off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe a Gemstone Caverns naturally played, no luck counter, no such luck. We have a turn 2 fire to take care of the Emry, so the test was passed, if you will.
Yeah. So you said that was the big thing, and Dykman is up to the challenge. So now, okay, Michael doesn't really have. I mean, sure, he has some lands and explosives. Okay, and there's a Saga. All right, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So now, if I'm Cardoza, what I'm thinking is, Dykman did not want to force vigor my explosives and my Urza's Saga while the trigger was on the stack. I don't think he has it. And Dykman without land 3. Jeez.
That's tough, especially when one's a caverns. Yeah.
Huge deal. We have a Ketria Triumph, which is the perfect land, and the Gems of Caverns, which is the worst land. So that's unfortunate. That's a little awkward. It means that we're stuck playing one spell a turn for the time being.
Right. Well, let's see if hopefully every land in Dykman's deck is live. Are there 2? There are 2 Gemstone Caverns. So there is another potential busted draw. Here is a Brazen Borrower or a Petty Theft. I see. This bounced the construct that came in end of turn, maybe.
Yeah, that we just used that on the construct that was created from the Urza's Saga. Yeah. So this one's going to have Summoning Sickness and not be able to attack this turn. And when you're missing land drops, all you want to do is sort of buy times to make sure that you can cast all your spells. So that makes total sense from Dykman's perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, Michael Cardoza, that was a great turn 1. I mean, next couple turns making construct tokens. I mean, that's fine, but that's nothing to be real excited about. Grinding long-term advantage is okay, but really you're looking at early pressure or you're looking at a combo kill, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen anything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the explosive is on the board again, so Dykman's going to have to deal with that somehow. The Force of Vigor that you're talking about would be super strong here, but obviously Michael's aware of that also, and there's the fear of Spell Pierce that you talked about.
No follow-up play like a possible Emry or Litter Shredder there with the 2 mana. Perhaps we're sitting on a counterspell. A Traneth Magistrate that turn could have been really powerful. Does Dykman find land 3? This is a huge deal. Every turn that Dykman does not find it is that's a stomping ground.
He's got it.
So we've got a game.
Excellent. Okay, so now we, assuming Dykman's hand is full of goodies, which it almost must be.
Oh, it's all spells, guaranteed.
Yeah. So a Shardless Agent or a Violent Outburst into the explosives would at least force it to pop and then also decrease, well, and wipe out the construct at the same time.
Yeah, I believe we just passed the turn here. If
Yeah,
we
I
have,
know. Yeah,
if we have the option of Violent Outburst and Shardless Agent, then I think it makes a lot of sense to go for Violent Outburst, because it means that Michael's going to not be able to use, if we went for Shardless Agent, Michael will be able to use this 2 mana on Engineer Explosives, and then
yeah,
trade for the Rhinos very evenly. But now we're wasting his 2 mana, so we're going to be able
right.
to say, okay, you have to activate that next turn, or you're going to take 8,
Mhm.
and instead of just giving him a free roll, so to speak. So that is, definitely, given the option of both, I would certainly go for Violent Outburst this turn. We're going to go for a Ledger Shredder. So now if we have it, I think I'd like to see it in response to deny the Connive, but it looks like we're just going to go ahead and let it resolve. Perhaps we're holding up Hardcast Endurance, and our plan is to do that. It
Yeah,
doesn't die to the
maybe.
explosive, so we can start attacking. And we're going to go ahead and play around the Hardcast Endurance. Very heads up from Michael Cardoza. He's shown an unwillingness to attack into Hardcast Endurance.
Yeah, multiple points. And here with, the 3/3 construct will get turned aside. So for Dykman here, if you have the endurance, I feel like the obvious choice or the easy choice is to lean towards just hardcasting it anyway. But
There it is.
okay, it is going to be endurance here. There is a significant presence in Michael Cardoza's graveyard here, but we're going to find, it's just going to get tucked away there.
Yep, and somehow Underworld Breach is not going to be an option for the foreseeable future. We're going to have to rebuild.
Right, but rebuilding from a board state that's already pretty solid. But again, like you said, and everyone watching knows, and Michael knows also, that Dykman has all gas in hand, and there's a 4th land.
Yep, so that's a timely 2 lands in a row there for Dykman. But were they too late? We're going to find out. It looks like Michael Cardoza, I believe, has 4 cards in his hand and is representing some strength. He has the first copy of Grapeshot Footfalls covered with the Engineer Explosives on 0 that he played on turn 1 to accelerate out an Emry, Lurker of the Loch. He's trying to assemble an offense. This Endurance not dying to Engineer Explosives start, but if he were to attack, it would just get double blocked by a Construct and a Ledger Shredder. Is that something you're okay with? Notably, if Michael wants to pop the explosives, it will kill his own construct, so there's some value in that.
There are vulnerabilities though, for a double block on endurance. I mean, there are interactive cards.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of things that could happen.
Yeah,
so we're just
so
gonna take it.
Michael had already made up his mind. Is just not blocking.
Yep, makes total sense. And we're just going to see a passing of the turn. We're going to see an unwillingness to let Michael efficiently use his mana. I really like this play from Dykman.
Yeah, and Dykman does have the Dykman now has the mana available with the fetch land to get the Brazen Borrower in play, so he conceivably could muster some sort of offense here. Another Shredder for Cardoza, but if there's no,
are we going to see Cascading in response to deny the second Connive? Okay, it is resolved. I believe Dykman just said it's fine, and we're moving on, and we're going to cast Expressive 2 Connive triggers. What a play.
Yeah, this is nice. This will really. Now I can't tell how many. Michael's got a couple cards in hand, maybe 3. So, well, actually, it looks like it's maybe 4. But either way, it's a bundle. So these connives are not just going to be a milling. This is going to be real card selection here.
Oh yeah, we are going to be able to sculpt a very. We're going to see the top 5 cards of the library. We're going to be able to sculpt a hand. It looks like just at the next table over, Oliver.
Well, hold on. So before we, I don't know. I saw that also the result. I know for sure that we're not going to, if we're showing the time shift match.
We're not going to time shift. I'm getting next to Normie saying we're not going to do that.
Okay, then go ahead.
Yeah, Oliver Tomiko has defeated Greg Pino. That was Team of Rhinos triumphing over 4-color creativity. So that was what we saw happen. On the other side of the bracket, Joseph Bernal getting defeated by CJ Vogue. Same matchup, although it was a slightly different builds on both sides. But yeah, we have 2 Team of Rhinos players in top 4. Plus the winner of this match, Dykman trying to make it 3 out of the top 4 being Team of Rhinos. We had 3 in the top 8. Can they all win their quarterfinals matches?
Well, that would certainly be a show of strength. All right. We have 1 counter picked up and 1 land discarded. Actually, we're still in the middle of
the iteration
resolving this. Okay.
Now resolving. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is now, let's see, how much? Michael's got 1 mana available, and I think a land drop for the turn, if he wants it.
Yeah, is that an Urza Saga being
Yeah, it's
played
an
off the
Urza
original?
Saga.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, things
So
are really falling apart here for
yeah. And yeah, Explosives mana still available.
Yep, and we're going to go ahead and get in with a 2/4. And trust me, Michael Cardoza is very aware that if Steven Dykman is going to flash an Endurance, they will just bounce, and he is not just running it into an Endurance. He's played this whole match, both the sideboard games, he's played perfectly around potential copies of Hardcast Endurance, and he does not want. He's not. I don't think he's going to deviate now.
Right. No. Yeah. It's very much on his radar. You're right about that. So now, Steven, I mean, he can't even run out a test as for Rhinos to try and run into the explosives because Michael is very incentivized to get this thing blown up if there's a possibility for it before he makes any further constructs. So it feels like Steven Dykman has to wait, and that's not a good plan either. This is kind of Michael's putting the screws to him here, and there's not. I mean, this time without really the Dranth Magistrate, it's just the explosives again.
Yeah,
And
it's the explosives is just putting a real hindrance in these ledger shredders. They've been a huge deal. These Urza Sagas have also been very valuable plays. What Dykman really wants, like a Force of Vigor here, potentially to take out an explosives on 0, and the Urza Saga could be really good, and then we can cascade in the same turn. I think we're going to see Ledger Shredder just go ahead and trade off for a Brazen Borrower here. Michael Cardoza doesn't want to get his life total too low. He says, you know what, I think with the Urza Saga, with the cards I have in my hand, I think I have the late game locked up. I just don't want you to tempo me out. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this trade while I can.
Yeah, Hardcast Fury there would have been nice too for Steven to take out no, I'm sorry, that wouldn't have taken both. I was thinking that the 3/1 was on Steven's side, but it would have been something at least. And I threat that's not 0 casting cost of any variety would be nice for Steven here.
So the Urza Saga goes ahead and ticks up to 2 chapters. So now Michael Cardoza has the ability to create a construct if he so chooses. And we're going to go ahead and start with Dashing Ragavan. Interesting. Okay. Now, if you're a Dykman fan, he's got a lot of removal in his hand. You are excited to see that. He's going to finally be able to cash in a card like Dead Con, a card like Fire Ice. He's going to be able to use them on this Ragavan. It's not going to connect.
Yeah, better not. So how much is coming across here? 3, 4, 5. Looks like 7 right now.
Yeah, that looks correct to me.
Although it can go to 8.
Yeah, if we wanted to activate our Urza Saga now, it would go up to 8.
All right, so another Hardcast Endurance to block Ragavan. Okay, that's something. The removal spells you mentioned would certainly work, but yeah, Steven's going to need to show us something here, and I expect he will. He's thinking about this. He's not he's not bluffing. He doesn't have nothing. He's got plays to make.
He's making sure that he sequences everything the right way. And he's going to go for violent outburst, and there's a ledger shredder on the board. There's an engineer explosive on the board. One thing I like here is that if Michael wants to use engineered explosives to destroy the Rhinos, he's going to destroy his own construct, and he's not going to be able to create another construct this round. So this is a really good window. This is Dykman definitely being rewarded for his patience. He's chosen to make weaker plays and leave the engineered explosives on the board uncracked so he could find a better window like this. He's been very, very rewarded here.
Okay, so we'll see once we get to there's the Rhino. So we'll see if this actually is going to resolve or not. There is the connive draw for Michael Cardoza. And we will all await alongside Steven Dykman to see if this resolves whether or not it resolves, he's not going to get a chance to block. I think we know that.
That seems highly unlikely, yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because this would basically, if the explosives blows up here, that effectively trades for 2 of Michael's tokens.
Yep. And we're going to go ahead and use the explosives. We're going to cost ourselves a construct, and we're going to cost ourselves an ability to tap the Urza Saga to create another construct. And now, if Dykman chooses, he can go for a Dead Con on that Ragavan.
Well, if he has it, this is an excellent, well thought out turn. Well, sculpted turn, and is there an answer? There's a spell pierce. Okay, so
And we get to cash.
Dykman doesn't get everything you wanted, but
a nearly dead spell pierce gets to get cashed in.
Yeah.
A big deal for Michael Cardoza. We get to get in for 5. We get to get a treasure. We get to exile the top card of Stephen Dykman's library, and there's a Crashing Footfalls. Well, I can't imagine that Dykman wanted to draw that one that very much, so he's probably happy to see it go to exile.
Okay, well, things certainly improved for Stephen Dykman over the last turn. I think Michael still has... Oh, Michael's got another Urza Saga. Okay. Well, Force of Vigor would be looking real strong here right now for Stephen, but that's...
Force of Vigor would be an amazing play to shrink both the Sagas. We could leave the Ragavan back on D, or we could leave the Endurance back on D, block the Ragavan, can't attack, 3-5 on 3-4, so there's no damage. And then it's like Sarah Shearing has defeated Ari Collins in the Is It Murktide Mirror. So our top 4 is Sarah Shearing, CJ Vogue, and Oliver Tomiko, and then the winner of this match will join them. Will it be Michael Cardoza on Jeskai Breach, or will it be Stephen Dykman on Team of Rhinos? Will there be 3 Team of Rhinos players in our top 4, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, there certainly could be. And if that's the case, then Sarah Shearing gets to go to bed tonight only having to plan for one matchup.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Michael Cardoza certainly seems up to the challenge here. Stephen Dykman, it's hard to even... I mean, he stabilized the board for now, but those 2 Urza Sagas are looming. Is this... he's going to continue attacking in here. All right, Michael dropped to 7. What do we have? That's a Shardless Agent. All right.
Okay, so that's going to give Michael Cardoza a connive, but now Stephen Dykman has managed to navigate this game so well. He's managed to navigate it to a point where, through an Engineer Explosives, he has 3 Rhinos in play, and he has a Shardless Agent. So he has 14 total power. That Ragavan we knew about getting discarded. It makes a lot of sense into the face of a Shardless Agent and 2 4/4s, not connecting anytime soon.
Okay, well, let's see. Stephen also at 7 with no Endurance back to block at the moment, although potentially, obviously, more in hand. And this Lotus Shredder is 4 power up in the air here. This is both players at 7. This is
a lightning bolt is scary.
Yeah, we're approaching the conclusion of this match.
You know, a big thing here might be that that Shadow Spear was milled early on to that Emry. We can't search for it off the Urza Sagas. That's a powerful tool that Urza Sagas decks will use to be able to race in spots like this. But because it was milled to Emry, we don't have access to it. We can't search it out of our deck right now.
All right. Construct off of the decaying Urza Saga. And yeah, so Michael goes searching and finds...
Okay. We got Endurance. Okay. So the Shadow Spear.
Okay.
Endurance and Shadow Spear back in. Okay.
I kind of froze up there for a second because I was like, that really looks like Shadow Spear, but we'll just say
I don't know what happened. It got
Endurance.
That's totally my mistake.
Okay. Well, that's an easy mistake to make. I don't for that.
Yeah, it got milled.
Okay.
It didn't get milled from one, but it got.
All right. So even without a, let's see, if an equipment attack for 4 would leave Michael at 11.
I think it's an attack for 5.
You're right. Okay, you're right. Let's leave him at 12, which is still dead if the construct was dealt with. So that seems.
It's a dangerous.
I guess there'd be 2 constructs to block with.
You'd have to tap 2 mana to activate the Shadow Spear.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And then you would not be able to make a construct.
Yeah. So that seems a bit optimistic. Being able to attack through an Endurance now. So if Michael has a bolt, there's no real reason for him not to attack here, I don't think. I don't expect that he has one, but if he did, the Shredder would go in, and you would probably not equip first because you would still be afraid. And there's still plenty of things to fear. A Dead Gone or an Ice could make this unpleasant for Michael in a hurry. Okay, so the construct is currently a 4/4 with the potential to be 5/5 alongside another one, which would give Michael 3 significant blockers. This is that. This is
a very tight game.
Yeah. Steven with at least a couple cards in hand, and I think we're still in a spot where Michael can almost know that those are not lands.
Yeah, it is very likely that's the case, given that land drops were missed earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm. Something like if Michael passes, well, whether or not Michael passes here, another Violent Outburst could put Steven right on the doorstep of the top 4.
That might just be lethal, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we out of copies of Crashing for Falls potentially? There was 1 exile to Ragavan, and there might be 1 left total.
Okay, I'm not sure. Also, doing that would drop Steven to 6. He would have to tap a Fiery Islet to generate the mana for that outburst at the moment.
I think that priority is currently on Dykman, and I imagine that we are in Michael Cardoza's end step, and he just go starting to make a construct would be my best guess. If he makes a construct, then they will both be 5/5s. So we'll have 2 5/5s and a 4/6 on defense versus 2 4/4s.
All right, here we go. Steven will take a point damage, tap the Fire Islet. It's a dead gone.
Got a 5 life. The bounce, presumably. Nope, but not Ledger Shredder. We're going to go for the construct.
Okay. So this leaves with another construct still to be made. There's not a lethal attack here. At the moment, Michael would, if Steven attacked all out and Michael only had the construct, Michael would fall to 2, is my count at least. There is 2 available mana for Michael. If he wanted to make a construct and block, he still has the Springleaf Drum and the Treasure. So he could have further spells to cast after blocking.
Looks like we're going to go ahead and start by just cycling the Fiery Islet.
Okay.
Looking for interactions. That's definitely a show of weakness, saying that we don't have what we need just yet.
All right, here comes everything. Construct created. So this construct is a 4/4. So that's significant. Just trading with a token. Oh, Steven's not done though. Steven's got more stuff. He's reaching for mana. He's reaching for lands here. And
tap Ledger Shredder.
Oh, ice. Okay, ice trap Shredder. This allows us 1 block, and this will allow a lethal attack to get through if Michael doesn't have another answer. Spell Pierce can be paid for.
Yep. That's a good game.
And that's it. That is it. Wow.
Look at that.
Fantastic match. Steven Dykman.
Awesome match. Yeah. Awesome match.
Maneuvers his way through that. It certainly looked rough for, well, all of game 2, but also significant chunks of game 3.
Awesome. Really well played.
And yeah, Steven Dykman, good job. Michael Cardoza takes his first loss of the tournament, and unfortunately for him, it will be knocking him out as he made it through with 2 unintentional draws, but 7 wins to go alongside them, and then falls here to Steven Dykman. And we do have 3 Rhinos decks in the top 4.
One lone Murktide player in Sarah Shearing, and 3 Team of Rhinos players.
Yeah,
definitely the deck of the tournament. When I walked in, the first thing I noticed is that the top tables all had a Rhinos player, and one of them was playing a mirror, and I was just like, "What's happening?" And now here they're 3 in the top 4.
Wow. All right. So, boy, I feel like we had a couple excellent matches the last few rounds.
Oh yeah, we got to watch some really great Magic. There was very little people just getting like mana screwed and dying or anything like that.
Well, we had, I mean, even the games where people were kind of stuck on mana, they still ended up being good games.
There was a lot of back and forth, lots of
this last game, Dykman missed his 3rd land drop, right?
Oh yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
This was the Catcher Triumph Gemstone Cavern.
Yeah,
I think he might have missed it for 2 turns if I remember right.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Okay, so to recap, so top 4 will consist of Oliver Tomiko playing Team of Rhinos, Steven Dykman playing Team of Rhinos, CJ Vogue playing Team of Rhinos, and Sarah Shearing playing Is It Murktide. So Sarah Shearing just has 1 matchup to go through sideboarding for because it's the only one that matters for her.
Yep.
Can she take down the Rhino herds and get a slot in the NRG Championship at the end of the year? Find out tomorrow morning, starting up 9 o'clock Central Time for the top 4 in the finals. And then if you're tuning in for Pioneer tomorrow, Pioneer will start coverage probably in round 2, unless the elimination rounds take an extremely long time. Maybe we round 3, but probably round 2. Pioneer coverage will start tomorrow, and we have a Pioneer 5K, which also awards a slot in the regional championships to the winner. And that's another thing. So these 4 players, 2 of our top 4 are going to earn slots in the regional championship in Dallas tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
Will Cougar, that was some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome. We got to watch some really good Magic.
What's something that either stood out to you that we watched this afternoon, or that you'll take away from this, or just that you enjoyed? If someone says, "Will, what happened that was cool at the event?" Like, what's something that you're going to think of?
Watching Dykman just navigate that game 3 was really awesome. I think he played really well. I think he thought through everything and just managed to thread the needle, so to speak, around that engineered explosives, around those ledger shredders, and barely come across for lethal on the last turn of the game. It was a really nice game from him, and it was a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, I mean that was the turn 1 Emry game.
Yep,
okay, you have turn one Emry with explosives, which shuts down my deck. I don't even have a third land, and Dykman battles his way through it. Yeah, congratulations to him. That was excellent. So I think that's going to do it for us for today. So tune in tomorrow morning at 9 Central, like we said. If you are interested in marking your calendars for future events, whether you want to attend in person or if you want to watch online, we'll put the schedule back up here to finish the day for those of you in the evening crowd. There we go. Our next event is May 20th and 21st in Minneapolis. It's the reverse of this weekend. Saturday is the Pioneer 10K Showdown. Winner gets a berth in the end of the year championship. Sunday is the Modern 5K. And then in June, it's a Modern 10K and a Legacy 5K. There are not a lot of ways to qualify for the regional championships through Legacy. So put that on your calendar if you're in the area and you want to take a shot at that one. Also, do we have the regional championship qualifier slide where we can show there are a lot of them? There are not just the ones awarded from the main events each day. There are also qualifiers being run starting in the afternoons. There, you can see it there. Starting in the afternoons for players that fall out of the main event but want to continue playing.
Yes.
So up to 9 invites away can be given away per weekend. And if you're wondering how is it up to 9 and not specifically a number, the side event RCQs, the number of invites given away depend on attendance. So if more people sign up, more invites are awarded. That's how that works. Anyway, if you're looking to qualify and you live in the Midwest, this is the place to do it. If you're looking to qualify for the championship, if you're looking just for some quality Magic and you have some time on your weekend free and you want to know where to tune in, twitch.tv/NRG Series. Find updates about things like that on Twitter or on Facebook. Will Cougar, thanks for being here. If people want
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think you did an excellent job. I know this is not something you've done a ton of, but we are happy to have you along.
Thanks.
If people are looking to follow your exploits or potentially hire you as a coach, where do they find you?
I'm just on Twitter at my name with 2 underscores in between because somebody else has my name as a Twitter handle. And then on Twitch, I am XWhale. That is also my Magic Online username.
Yeah, let me tell you,
I somehow
was trying to find you on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, XWhale, nothing. Okay, underscore XWhale, nothing. Okay.
It's my name. If you search my name.
It's your name with 2 underscores in the middle. And it took me like 9 tries to figure that out. But that's how you find them.
Yeah, that's me.
Anyway, he's Will Cougar. I'm Joe Lissette. This is NRG Gaming. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Mason and Doomlink will take you through the beginning rounds. And then Dominic Harvey and I will finish things up. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.